Welcome to Comet Computer Private Limited, e-learning program of hardware networking. So we are going to see about motherboard technologies. So what is a motherboard? It is a main circuit board of a computer because it is holding all the necessary components including processor, memory modules and other controllers which is controlling the IO operations or data storage operations, everything. So that is the reason it is called as a motherboard. So these chips are mounted on the motherboard called chipset of motherboard. Um, so it differs based on the type of motherboard what we have. But normally chipset means it is a list of controllers commonly provided or available in the motherboard is called chipset. The overall performance of computer system is determined by the ability of motherboard used. So you may have high-end processor or the memory modules, high capacity memory modules. But with this two configurations, you will not be able to expect a good processing capability because if the motherboard which is holding other controllers is not designed properly or not efficient or not matching the frequencies of a processor and the memory, so there is no use of having high-end processor and memories. So it plays a very important role to have a good performance in the computers. So while choosing the overall computer, it is very much required to see the configuration details of motherboards also. So normally people will see the details from processor, what is the speed of the processor, what is the cache memory available in the processor, memory capacity 4 GB, 8 GB like that. But along with that, we have to see what is the motherboard chipset available and other parameters available, what are the add-on parameters available and additional features available. So that will be boosting the overall performance of a computer, mainly the frequency speed, bus speed. So that has to be verified. So the earlier motherboards had very limited capabilities, so it will not have uh, what we have now. So it will be having different types of slots, the portion where you can insert the IO cards. For example, in a motherboard, if you want to have a sound facility like recording or playback, so anything, you need to have a sound card. And you want to install network into the system, you need to insert a network card. Likewise, each and everything is given as a add-on capability. Basic thing is display. For that also you need to have a VGA card, display card. Okay, so that has to be inserted in any one of the slots. There are different types of slots available. We'll be seeing at the end of the session. So in that we have to insert. So that is a case for the older motherboards. Because of this, the power consumption of the motherboard has increased and processing capability has reduced, and there will be more time taken for a simple process also. So in the normal, I mean in the latest motherboard or even sometimes back also, we started getting the integrated motherboards where we have all the components are integrated as a chipset, and that solves the problem of having individual cards. So when you have an individual card and you are not placing the card properly, and because of movement of desktop from one place to other place, it is getting shaken, getting loose connected. So all those issues are there. Or if there is more dust, the add-on card will not function properly. If there is more heat, it will get hang. So those kind of things will be resolved in case of integrated motherboards, that is latest motherboards. So that is the advantage of having the current motherboard compared to the old motherboards. So you have servers, right? So some of the organization they will have low-end servers, middle-end servers, or high-end servers. So in case of servers, the motherboard form factor or motherboard sizes are totally different. Though you have same kind of components available like processor, memory, sound card, everything, but it will be more in size because it has to handle multiple user requests parallelly, right? So one desktop, one user will be processing the information, whereas if it is a server, 50, 100, thousands people of the particular organization will be accessing the computer. So it should have higher capacity. Like instead of one processor, it will have four processor. Instead of 8 GB RAM, it will have 64 GB RAM. Instead of having a motherboard with minimum components, it will have more components. So supporting the data transfer speeds and other processing capability. So that is a difference. And other main difference is motherboards will have a RAID controller. It is a special form of ID, I mean advanced than the ID connector. Normally in the desktops we'll be having ID connector. So in servers we'll be using RAIDs because we need to connect more than two hard disks, multiple hard disks at a time, and we need to have data backup also in case of any hard disk crash or any emergencies. So we'll be having RAID controllers, and we'll have multiple hard disks connected into the server. So it will be supporting that facility physically as well as logically. So that is the difference of normal motherboard and server motherboard. The main features of motherboard, it is mentioned here. So when you are buying a motherboard, it is better to look into all these parameters before you get a consolidated bill or processing. Okay, so form factor, this indicates the size of the motherboard. We have different size, right? So based on the size, the overall CPU cabinet size will get reduced. Earlier it was very big. Now if you see, the desktops have become so thin, it can be accommodated in a small school bag. Okay, so and less weight also. So that kind of motherboards and other components have come down with the advancement in technology. Processor supported, yeah, there are various ranges of processor available. We have to see which one is best suitable for the particular motherboard. Number of processors supported, definitely it is one, not more than that. Probably we can go for virtual processors in the sense a quad core processor, dual core processor, all those processors we can use. Memory, maximum limitation will be provided, but minimum we can use 8 GB or 16 GB in a system. Chipset, this is a very important one which decides the overall performance of the motherboard. So we have to see what is the best chipset available in the market. Graphics, it is mainly the graphic designer or Photoshop people working in the photos and the multimedia. They'll be very much looking at it. But normal residential purpose, normal office purpose development activity or programming activity, they can use the inbuilt graphic card itself. They need not go for any additional one. Multiple GPU support graphics processor. Yes, this is not required for us normal desktops. Front side bus speed. So this is very important because this is the one which is going to carry your information from processor to the other components. If the bus speed is less, definitely you cannot process it in a faster manner. So we have to see this as an important parameter. Video output, yeah, DVD or HDMI. Normally nowadays you have to look for HDMI cable and HDMI port because all the things are getting equipped with HDMI. Even the normal televisions, other devices are having the HDMI port. So better to have monitor with the facility of HDMI support. Memory slots, yes. Storage, normally will have IDE ports, that is PATA ports, PATA ports, and SATA ports, serial ATA. So minimum they are providing four, so maximum four orders we can connect. RAID support, normally it is not available for the normal desktop motherboards. But if at all you wanted to use it in a smaller organization, they want to have RAID. What they can do, RAID, they can purchase RAID controller add-on card because now in the motherboards you'll have some expansion slots, one or two. So in that you can insert it, okay, and we can have multiple hard disks connected to it, and we can use the RAID concepts as it is we use for the servers, but it will not withstand multiple loads. That has to be checked for day-to-day operation. Then LAN ports, Wi-Fi, desktops will not have Wi-Fi support. It will have only desktop LAN, Ethernet LAN support. If at all you are not able to use cabling for your desktop, there are some difficulties, right? So in your house or in the factory, laying the cable is difficult, and transportation will be a problem, and there'll be huge damage to the network cables if you place it here. In that case, what we can do, if at all you have wireless router and configured as a networking equipment, in the desktops you can use a USB to Wi-Fi, that will act as a Wi-Fi network adapter. You have a converters available, so you can buy the converters, and you can incorporate that as a wireless network adapter, and maybe your desktop can act as a laptop, except it cannot move it, but otherwise, like a laptop, it will work through wireless. So that can be done as additional precautionary measures. Then BIOS features, back panel IO ports. We'll see everything in the coming slides. Internal IO connections, power management. There are different power managements available for efficiently using the power supply and reducing the overall consumption when it is not in use. From operating system side, we have lot of configurations to enable these power save options. Let us see in the coming slides. So this is the overall layout of a motherboard. Um, it's a kind of older motherboard, so it is not very recent one. Um, so we'll go through from right side. So you have heatsink, inductor, capacitor. So this is a processor where you are inserting a processor. So over to this processor, you will have heatsink and then CPU fan. So that will be fixed here, and voltage regulator. This is the RAM slots. So this is the DIMM slot. See, you have um, only one um, portion available here. Two slots, two or four slots available, four DIMM slots available, and a floppy connector, hard disk connector, power supply, 24-pin power motherboard, south bridge. Okay, so we'll discuss about more here. Four SATA connectors. Okay, CMOS battery. Here you have this one is for ATA controller, serial port for connecting the serial communicating devices, USB header for enabling the USB outside, SATA controller, SATA RAID. So if at all you want to have RAID, you can use it. Onboard LEDs for indicating purpose. Then you have mic, line in, line out, audio controllers, Ethernet port, and your parallel port and other stuff. So this is the overall view of a motherboard. So here it is south bridge, and here it is north bridge, which is nearer to your processor, north bridge. We'll discuss more in the coming slides. Okay. So these are the main components what we have seen in the motherboard. So we are not going to look into all hundreds of components. We'll just see the major portion of the components here, which is very much required for the understanding. CPU socket. Yeah, you have different types of sockets available. Low insertion force, zero insertion force. Low insertion force for inserting the processor into the socket, you need to apply some kind of force. A push is required, whereas in ZIF there is nothing required. Just place the processor and lock it. So that will solve your problems. North bridge, it is bridge in the sense, don't take it in other way, because it is the reason for naming it as a bridge. It is connecting or used as a medium for sending and receiving data from your video graphic controller and memory controller to the processor. So North Bridge mainly takes care of this operation between processor and video and memory. So this communication will be processed here, and that's why it is very closer to your motherboard processor. South Bridge that handles the other controllers, IO controllers, IDE controllers, or hard disk storage devices. So that is also taking care of the communication between the devices and the processor. RAMs that we have seen in the bottom right, four slots. So color doesn't matter. So we can have any colors. So there is no standard for having the colors. Each manufacturer will go for its own color. So DIMM slots. Earlier we had a SIM slots. Only one cut is there. In case of earlier DIMM, I'll show you. You will see two cuts. Okay, now it has been made as single cut. AGB slots, in case you want to have higher graphic support, definitely you can have it by inserting a display card, AGP display card that will give you more graphical support. So alternately, what we have to do, we have to log into the BIOS setup and disable the onboard display graphics support, so that any request comes, it will directly process through AGP display card. PCI slots, additional slots provided. Any additional interface you wanted to insert, you can use it. Floppy controller, this is not available in the current setup because nobody is using the floppy disk and drives. It is being closed now. Primary and secondary ID connectors, yeah, you will have two ID connectors for connecting one hard disk as well as one CD-ROM or vice versa. SATA connectors, now all the hard disks are coming with SATA interface, so that will be faster than ID. We'll see that difference in the hard disk class. Okay, so here it will be more faster than the ID connection. So power connectors, there are different types of power connectors available. We'll see it in the coming slides. BIOS, BIOS is basic input and output system. So that is mainly available for having a firmware of a computer, and it also runs the post program that is helping to make the system to work better. CMOS battery, you have volatile memory available for storing the BIOS configurations temporarily. BIOS is a ROM, whereas CMOS RAM volatile one. So to store the data, it requires a battery power that is called CMOS battery. Ports, you have different types of ports available. I'll show you. Connector side of a ATX motherboard. So this is the one you have seen. PS bar 2 keyboard and mouse port. There is a difference provided here. Now everything is available as a USB. We are not seeing the PS bar 2 or any other connectors for connecting a keyboard and mouse. This USB will hold any devices through it. Serial communicator, normally serial mouse will be there, so it will be connected via here, or you have a serial modem, it will be connected via this particular port. VGA port, it is for connecting your monitor. Still, monitor cannot be connected in USB. Okay, don't get confused. If at all you want to connect monitor, you have to connect it via VGA port, or you should have the facility of HDMI port. The latest motherboard will have HDMI, so in that you can connect it. And this is the parallel port, and this is the port used for connecting printers. Okay, so you have a residential printer or a corporate, so you can connect the printer over here. But assume you have a old printer connected using your printer port. Now you have changed the desktop, and the desktop will not have this parallel port. How will you connect your printer with the old printer? Because that printer will not have latest technology, and that will have only older one, parallel port communication. So it will not have USB support. So what is that you can do with that? So the best solution for this is, you cannot change the printer, right? Because printer is still working. If it is not working, then you can recommend for upgrading the printer or replacing the printer, but still the printer is working. So what you have to do as a desktop support engineer, you have to think and provide a solution. So what is my suggestion is, so what you can do, you have a converter. Okay, you should know about all these details. Serial port to USB port, or um, parallel port to USB port converter available. So you connect the USB port with the new system, and the other side you connect the old printer. So it will have a conversion between USB and parallel port, and it will get printer out. So you are giving the simplest solution, but it is saving lot of cost to the company. So any new printer, it will cost you 50,000 to 1 lakh. Okay, so by giving this simple idea, you are going to save a lot of cost to the company. This converter will cost you more than 150 or 200, not more than that. So your supervisor or the senior leadership team will be happy about the solution. So small solutions will make more changes, right? So try to learn more and provide solutions at right time. Okay, don't delay it. Okay, so whatever we have discussed, it is mentioned here. IO ports, joystick or game port, the orange one you are seeing, right? 15 pins. So that is for connecting the joystick. Even that is available as a USB port now. Network or Ethernet port, SCSI port, SCSI, we call that as a SCSI. If at all you have higher speed hard disk, I mean more than ID, it is having high speeds. Normally it is available only in servers, not in the normal desktops. So next we are moving on to other important factor, motherboard form factor. So what is the term motherboard form factor? It is normally used to refer the motherboard's geometry, dimensions, arrangement, and electrical requirements. So while designing the motherboard, we are saying that my motherboard will have 8-inch size, 12-inch size, 15-inch size. So we had bigger desktops, right? It will have more components, additional components, and it will be like a big suitcase where you cannot carry simply. Okay, so that is the older one. Now we have a compact one. So even like your tab, that size has come, right? 8-inch size, 10-inch size. So it is very compact now. So the design of a motherboard based on dimension, based on a design, we call it as a form factor. The older motherboards we used, which is called as 80 baby or 80 form factor. So that is being used in older cases like 286, 386, 486. This is very old. The main disadvantage of 80 form factor, this particular thing is you had more components, and because of that, there will be more heat dissipation and more disconnections. Because you move the computer, the components will get loosened up, so your connections will be dropped. If there is more dust, the connections, the tip, right, the kind of tips in the IO connectors will get rusted out. So you have to clean it with the help of a pencil eraser, then it will function. Okay, so those kind of things we used to do with the old type of motherboard and components. And next is PC XT form factor. So IBM came with the PC form factor as a comparator to Intel. They brought in this particular form factor, and they mentioned it as a XT, that is extended technologies. Okay, so they brought this technology. Then ATX, this is upgraded form of baby 80 form factor, and this is the connection device on ATX motherboard is designed to make plugging in peripheral as easy as possible. So you would have heard about plug and play in the latest motherboards. So this is the origin of plug and play. So what is the meaning of plug and play? Is once you plug in the device will get recognized by your operating system. You will start. There is no need of installing the software to make it function, configuring it, blah blah blah. That is not required. Okay, so directly you can just plug in and use it. So any device you take now, all the devices are working as a plug-in adapter. So that operating system have that capability, and it has that much files to load lot of drivers. Okay, so that is ATX. And next is micro ATX. So this is followed a ATX form factor and offered same benefits but improved the overall system design cost through a reduction in the physical size of the motherboard. So they have reduced the size of the motherboard, so that has helped in reducing the cost, less heat dissipation, and more performance. So micro ATX supports reducing the physical size, reducing number of IO slots, current processor technologies, transition to newer process technology, AGP high performance, smaller motherboard size, small power supply form factor. So all these advantages are available with the micro ATX. We had mini ATX also. It is a compact alternative to the format micro and includes AGP connector and 4 PCI connector. So additionally, they had a few connectors, and they also call it as a mini PC because it size wise, form factor wise, it is a mini, smaller than the earlier one. So if you take 286, this is the a picture of a 286, different pictures available. So left side one, you see straight lines on right. Those are all called the slots, IO slots, where we'll be inserting um, the additional cards like display cards, network cards, Ethernet card, all those things. So this is the ISA slots actually. And other side, right side, you are seeing the same thing, but what you are seeing, lot of chips. So these chips are like your controllers, like interrupt controller, timer, clock generator. So a lot of different functions are there in the processor, I mean computer. So you'll have different ICs available. Now what I'm saying, in the chipset, all these ICs are integrated as a single IC, and you are seeing it easily. And you have an advantage, like once any of the IC is damaged, you can plug this out and just insert the other one. It will get start functioning as easily. But nowadays, if anything goes off, you have to throw the motherboard out. You have chipset service centers where they will do work in the chipsets and replace the ICs very carefully. You have to approach them and get the component replaced. But normally, if there is any huge damage, then it is better to replace the motherboard instead of doing the replacement of ICs. Okay, 386 motherboard. So advanced one. This is 486. So you can see reduction in the number of IO slots and improvement in the ICs. So you are seeing the CPU fan. Below that you have heat sink, and below that you have a processor. So from processor, the heat will be forwarded to the heat sink, which is in aluminum. From aluminum, the fan will extract the heat. So just blowing the heat out. So these are the form factors with the size what we have. So ATX we had it in the initial stage with 12 inch by 9.6, and slowly we got the mini AT, micro ATX and all available, so lesser in size. So the Pico and all, it is not used as a computer, but it will be used for computer functionalities in missionaries or any other places. It will be termed as a computer, but not as a regular computer. So don't worry, it's very small. So with this, we are completing part one. We'll be continuing with the part two with additional details on this motherboard technologies. Thank you.